3:08.
All right. Call the meeting to order. Yes, sir.
All right. So it sounds like we want to go through the project tracker and maybe discuss some of the projects that are on tap. I can give the general update I have prepared for you all today. And so I wanted to point out on the program progression report, if you take a glance at that, you'll see that projects are all on track. We do have heavy participation in the design assistance area, and then also our infill adaptive reuse grants, which collectively they are interior and exterior renovations on properties. And we have a combination of 14 of those. There is some overlap on projects where some properties are receiving both grants. But the real big one for us is Dixieland, the Art Infusion. So if you look at that, we have a lot of active projects in Dixieland. We actually have more active projects in Dixieland for this fiscal year than we had combined in the previous 5 years. So I think that goes to show there is some level of excitement about what property owners and business owners are able to do with their properties right now while we actually have this road diet test in place, and there's some level of confidence that their investment won't get completely annihilated by the passing vehicles. So folks are willing to make that investment, and we're excited to be able to work with them and get to know them through this process as well. Then looking at the active projects that we have on tap, Terra Lynn and Diario have been managing 114 East Parker, that construction project. And the update, it shows that we are looking at substantial completion by September 23rd. So we are barreling towards completion there. I would say we're probably about 65 to 70% done overall on the project. So we're going to get into the finishes on the interior there and then start looking at how we might be able to transition that project from active construction to then having an active tenant. So we're excited. They're working with Dr. Brisbane on that transition to get the well up and running and open. So get ready for another grand opening, right? And cutting the ribbon and moving out and seeing the community. We'll be excited for that one. One that we have not discussed a ton that we will likely talk more about during our annual retreat is the Robson Neighborhood Septic to Sewer program here. It's a study. It's in combination, it's funded by CRA and Housing. And we're working with our wastewater utility folks to actually study some specific target neighborhoods to help them. We want to see and kind of evaluate the cost of what it would take to convert those neighborhoods and those properties from septic service to actual utility service. The thought here is that being on septic can be a hindrance to economic development activities. Typically, to have a septic tank in place, you have to have, there are some restrictions on lot sizes, and so in doing this, we'll be able to have more developable land, we'll have more opportunities in these neighborhoods, and so the bulk of the neighborhoods are in Midtown, and so it'll have likely an impact on future housing opportunities in the area as well. So that's moving forward now, and we have a kickoff meeting coming here within the next 2 weeks with that group that's doing this study. So yes. On Muriton, it is, you all saw that, the last meeting. Muriton's almost finished as well. We do have some additional obligation on the financial front and for the construction. Within the agreement we have with Framework, we are to build a screen wall in front of that substation to sort of soften the visual impacts there. It's not overly attractive to have that electric substation present, so our goal is to create a buffer wall. We'll build that wall. That is currently out for proposals. I just had a pre-bid meeting with several contractors a couple of days ago to get that off the ground as well. So we have to build a wall. And then on the North Massachusetts Avenue Development Agreement, that's something that's been hanging out there. Some of the new board members may not be familiar with the project, but we had a local developer interested in acquiring some CRA property and combining it with his property in order to develop a large scale, about 100,000 square feet along Massachusetts Avenue, just to the west of the police station where the old Greyhound site used to be. That developer is working through some due diligence before he goes forward. Unfortunately, there was some contamination on that Greyhound site, and so have to get monitoring wells and things like that in place and work with DEP to get that in a good standing before that design and construction process goes forward. Excuse me. And then there are a couple of projects here that are programmed for the upcoming fiscal year. And so those are sidewalk projects. So Central Avenue and Olive, North Scott Avenue is programmed for 22, but then Emma Street sidewalk improvements, these are Midtown projects, will be fiscal year 23. And then we have the Oak Street parking lot RFP, which is downtown. That RFP was reissued, and there's a due date of September 15th on the proposals. Selection committee will convene and make a recommendation on that to City Commission. Okay. And then I'll stop and I'll take any questions you all may have. Yes, sir.
Elise, have we asked the people that were interested in doing this before the code thing if they're interested in coming back and looking at this again?
So when you're referring to the Oak Street parking lot?
Yes.
So the developer, they did express interest, and they did get invited to resubmit. I think that, just being candid, the principal of the firm is very interested in Lakeland and just wasn't sure that that he wanted to throw his hat into the competition. I think he thinks that there's going to be quite a bit of competition this time around because Muriton is actually showing and proving that it can be done. And so for him, he wants to find the right project. He just doesn't know if that's the one. So I can't say that they will or won't submit though, but we invited the folks who submitted before, and we made sure that we sent them the email specifically. So we'll see what happens.
Elise, is there a time schedule on the Dixieland, or like when certain projects are coming up and certain ones, do they have like a order of when those are happening?
Sure, so they do on the Art Infusion, and really we take them and we complete them as the property owners and as the artists are prepared to go forward. And so I'll let Diario talk a little bit. Do you want to talk about scheduling a little bit on that and how it's working for you, or do you want me to?
That's fine. That's good.
Yeah.
So essentially, once we're contacted by a business owner, then we'll schedule an initial meeting where we'll kind of just discuss with them the program, and we'll explain to them how all of our artists are registered through a CAFE program. So they would go through CAFE, we would assign them a login, they go in and they would rate the artist. Once they select an artist, we schedule a meeting, introduce them, talk about their theme, and then once the artist has a full understanding of their theme, they'll go and they'll work on a concept. Once they present the concept, we'll run it through historic preservation, and we'll send it on to the business owner. Once we have an approved, agreed upon theme, then we'll sign the art agreement. That mural concept will be attached to that agreement, and then they'll request the first half of their payment. We issue the payment, and then they go get their materials and they're able to start. They have 45 days from the date of the agreement to complete the mural. And so we don't have a specific day that the business owners have to contact us, but once they contact us, then it kind of starts that clock.
Thank you.
So ideally, we would like for all the projects to be seamless and to take off. But we have had a little bit of back and forth where maybe a property owner is not excited about the art that gets proposed, and so we have to do several iterations of what that may look like. Once we start to do some initial cleanup on a building too, maybe there are some things that get revealed when you start to pressure wash, clean up a building, and there may need to be some repairs to that canvas before it takes place. So there are some various impacts that may throw off a timeline, but ultimately we want to keep them keep them moving forward. So.
Are we still getting new inquiries on these, or is it leveled off?
We are getting, they've slowed down a little, but we're still getting inquiries. I think in the last maybe 2 weeks, I've gotten 3 different calls from business owners, and then we received an email this week from an artist that, and I can't remember what city they're located in, but they actually have had 12 artists that work together, and so they were wanting to know if they could sign up individually or if they needed to sign up as a unit. And essentially that totaled out to 13 new artists that are going to sign up into the cafe program.
It is. So that is all I have on the financial update and project tracker. Mr. Edie says that he is still a little bit out, so we can get started without him if you'd like to.
I've got another question or two on.
Sure.
Just the down payment assistance and Fix It Up.
Yes.
Because we have 5 awards on each of those. Are there others that are still coming in, or are these just the ones that have qualified, or where do we stand budget-wise with those as well?
Sure. So these are the ones that are qualified and that have been qualified and completed to date. And so there may be some actives. I will say that as a part of our down payment assistance program, partner there with housing is Keystone Challenge Fund. They're undergoing some organizational changes, and so that's kind of made us reevaluate how we administer that program, and so we do have to make some changes on the down payment assistance side. So it'll likely be slow going. We're getting ready to close out the fiscal year, so please keep that in mind. That I'll be bringing you all just an overall summary at the retreat of what we've accomplished in this cycle that we're in now. But it also means that it's reconciliation time on the accounts, and then there are transfers and carryovers, and so it'll get a little muddied here as the new allocations will ultimately get mixed in with the funds that we carry over once the approvals go through at the commission level. So, but I would say the Fix It Up program is starting to pick back up. Our housing division has had to redirect a lot of their labor towards dealing with CARES and federal monies. And so, keep that in mind that not only the staff priorities are different during times like this, but the residents' priorities are also different, where they may not be seeking to fix their houses up during a time like this, and it's a focus on staying in their homes, receiving rental assistance, and pursuing those other types of funding that will help support their lifestyles and where they are right now.
Okay. Move on to housekeeping.
Yes, I do have a little housekeeping. I know I mentioned the retreat. At this time, we do not have any business for our October 2nd meeting. With that, we have Mr. Wiley. This is his last meeting with us, and so I want to acknowledge him for his service. All right. I thank you for your service, and I hate to lose you. He's always very candid, asks great questions, well thought, and he certainly takes his service seriously. And so it's been a pleasure having you as a member of the board. We do have to replace him, which leads me to the next item. He is a downtown representative, so if you know someone from downtown who'd be interested in serving, please let me know, and we can walk you through that process. But for the retreat, I'd like to incorporate our newest Midtown member, who Mr. Coney will be joining. Mr. Coney is the president of the NAACP. He'll be joining us, but the way the nominations work for our boards and committees, they happen quarterly, and so that won't happen until the middle of the month, okay? And so he won't be able to join us at the next board meeting if we were to have one, but he will be available at the retreat because I'm going to propose it for a date after his nomination goes through the boards and committees. Hopefully that's clear and not too convoluted. And so with that, I ask that you all start looking at dates on your calendar between October 19th and October 22nd or October 25th, okay? And staff will be reaching out to lock in the best times for you for us to do that, and it'll be a great opportunity for us to bring some of the new members up to speed on what's happening at the commission level as well, overall with strategic planning.
So that was the 19th through the 22nd, or the 25th? Just the 25th, or the week of the 25th?
Just the 25th, and the reason being that staff will be away at FRA conference. Hopefully, we don't get canceled this year. But it's a great opportunity for us to go and meet with other professionals that do what we do and have our annual update. And so towards the back end of that week, we'll be gone. And so that Monday is the only date that I'm available for us. So, all right, let's put that on your radar. And that is all I have for housekeeping.
All right. Old business, everybody have an opportunity to look over the meeting minutes? Any questions or concerns or things that need to be readdressed there? Or would somebody like to make a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve?
We made two adjustments to what you're looking at.
Okay.
Mr. Jason Lewis was not on the call. That was the previous month, and that's been deleted. And then also it reflects that Brian Waller was present and he was absent, so he got moved from the present list to the absent list. So those are two changes that we made.
So motion to approve with those two changes?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right. On to new business.
All right, and so before we jump into this items, which Terrell Lynn will be presenting, I need to call the Assistant City Attorney. He wanted to be present with us today, but his wife is expecting, and so I told him I'd give him a call on the cell phone so that he could listen in and answer any technical questions from the legal side that you may have. So let me call him up while Terrell Lynn gets going here, and I'll put him on speaker. Of course, I got the voicemail.
Do you want me to wait until he gets on, or I can go?
You got it, go
Okay.
ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good to see you all. So I'll be presenting on 719 North Massachusetts Avenue regarding the Parker Street Ministries mortgage note that's held by the CRA. Just a little bit of background. In 2010, the CRA purchased the property from South Central District Florida Methodist Conference for $500,000. And at that time, the property actually appraised for $995,000. And with the purchase, the CRA assumed a 5-year lease with Parker Street Ministries. That lease included an option to purchase, and it would last July 2010 through February 2012. They paid a monthly lease rate of $2,500. And during that time, Parker Street Ministries invested a little bit over $1 million to improve the property. And so at the back end of that lease, they did exercise their option to purchase. And so again, we got another appraisal 2 years later, and the property then appraised for $1.2 million. So it had a significant increase in the appraised value. Credits were given to Parker Street Ministries for their improvements, just over $1 million, and also $25,000 worth of rent payments made. And the mortgage note held by the CRA was, or is, $147,580. It's a 10-year interest-free mortgage with no payments until the note is due in February of next year. So that's just an aerial of the property. It's at the intersection of Parker and Massachusetts on the west side and Parker and Iowa on the east side. It's just over an acre, about an acre and a half, and it's located in the Midtown District. So just a little bit about Parker Street Ministries and the work that they do. They're committed to community development, and their target is the Parker Street neighborhood. And their focus is on families who live in the neighborhood, and they have a variety of programmatic offerings. They have some strategic goals with areas focusing on learning and education, housing and making the neighborhood more desirable, financial capability of those individuals in the community, and also a healthy community. Some of their most recent reporting regarding significant contributions, they've offered over 1,200 hours of academic enrichment to children in the community. They served almost 20,000 healthy snacks and meals last year. They have 41 high school students who've completed financial literacy courses and opened up bank accounts, and just over 60 residents volunteering in their programs. So, as far as further investment in the community and within the CRA district, Parker Street Ministries has also purchased a few parcels in the Midtown District in the neighborhood. Those 4 lots were purchased there in the amount of $71,758. And so they are collaborating with the CRA when opportunities present themselves to further their work, to meet their mission, and to meet the CRA goals as well. So regarding the mortgage note, it is due February 22nd, 2022. And Parker Street Ministries would like the board to, in their consideration, factor into their considerations their contributions that they've made to stabilize the Parker Street neighborhood, and along with their collaborative efforts with the CRA over the past 10 years. Staff is recommending that the current agreement be extended through 2032, and approval of forgiveness of the mortgage note, which totals $147,580, at 10% over the next 10 years. This approval would be contingent upon Parker Street Ministries continuing its work in the Parker Street neighborhood. So staff is recommending approval as proposed. Before the board takes their position, I'd like to acknowledge Tim Mitchell, the Executive Director for Parker Street Ministries, and he's here to, you can say whatever you like, and to answer any questions you might have.
Yeah. I first want to say thank you. I mean, we would not have been able to secure the money to renovate the building in a timely manner when the building came up for sale. So when the building came up for sale, we met with CRA and said, hey, we can't buy it as fast as they need to sell it. If you buy it, we'll figure out how to fix it up. So it was an amazing opportunity for us. It was huge to have an ally like that we could lean on, because for me to pull together cash takes longer than what it would have taken for the CRA. So while y'all weren't there when this happened, you get full credit for being kind to us and helping us make this happen. So it's been an amazing opportunity for us. We've seen our ministry grow and our impact grow. We're not going anywhere. I'm only 44 years old. I don't anticipate, any kind of change other than continuing to try to dig in and do as much work as we can. We are interested in moving similar work towards the North Lake Wire neighborhood. So we're staying rooted there, but we want to be able to offer kind of similar type of work. Not to mention our facility is capable of, it's big enough that we can serve folks from the North Lake Wire neighborhood there. So we're continuing to look for ways to improve what we currently have there. Our mission is still the same. We're serving children and families. We will continue to serve children and families. The restrictions that were placed on the organization when we signed the contract earlier are still fine with us, because we aren't doing anything different. One of the things that we see as a benefit to this is it allows us to stay collaborative with you guys. I do believe we want to be an asset to the city as a whole, and having a way that we're still kind of tied together gives us a chance to, you can check on us, and you can, I like the teamwork of it. I mean, obviously, we wouldn't be mad if someone was like, it's gone away, but I think this allows us to stay in front of y'all, allows us to, continue to work together. So we feel like this is a neat opportunity. Obviously, it helps me financially, but more than that, it seems like a neat way for us to hopefully continue to collaborate, continue to be an asset to what is happening in the city. And we really believe that the current partnership with CRA and what we've seen CRA doing all around us is something that, you know, we really believe is continuing to be an asset to what we are doing. So it's a real cool opportunity for us to stay in the kind of the mix of the whole thing. So we're honored to be considered. I'm here, you know, I'll answer any question. I don't know if I have answers to them, but if I do, I'll give you what I got. But yeah, so thank you very much for considering this.
Any questions that anybody has?
I have a question for Elise.
Yes, sir.
Elise, they've substantially improved this building, they've improved the area, they've been a catalyst for change in this area. Why can't we just expunge, cancel this debt today?
Well, I think initially, I think that was the initial discussion. We could, you could make the decision to vote to do away with the note. I think now we're thinking is, when we negotiated to this point, is to maintain a level of balance, because Mr. Mitchell, he says he will stay in place, and with the 10-year note, it's a maturation, right? And so it's at that point where either it's paid or, and so with it being due, the decision here is to take the next 10 years and to forgive it over 10 years, with maintaining some leverage that they will stay in place. I know that he's committed to it. They've been doing it for 25 years, in the area, and so it does give us just a little bit of leverage relative to if they decide to depart anytime within the next 10 years, then whatever is remaining that has not been forgiven then becomes due. So you could, I guess, just plainly answering the question, you certainly could. You could propose it.
Does anybody else have any thoughts about that?
I think the way that the staff has put it together right now, if I understand it correctly, the intent of Parker Street Ministries is to continue well beyond 10 years, and there won't be any money out of pocket towards paying the remaining $140,000. It's just a way of kind of keeping, like you said, keeping the relationship together with the CRA, and at the same time, I don't think anybody has any question that you're going to continue doing what you've been doing and continuing this amazing ministry and this amazing service that you're providing to the neighborhood. But it's kind of a balance. So if everything goes as we all expect it to over the next 10 years, then effectively the mortgage has been forgiven. And if for some reason something changes or there's, need to change, I think either party would have the flexibility to do that. Is that more or less sum up where we are with it?
That is accurate, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I concur with that. I think my thinking is that if all I had to do was say, I believe in Tim Mitchell, and 10 years from now, everything is going to stay exactly the same way, I wouldn't have a problem with what Cliff is asking about. But I don't think there are those guarantees. And so to protect our asset and to maintain that equilibrium, as to whatever may or may not happen, is a better decision, that I would rather do that than just forgive it today. Those are my thoughts.
Cliff, I like the way you're thinking. I had the same thought initially, and I think the spirit of this group is we don't want Parker Street Ministries to have to bear any of those costs. I understand the reasoning of the 10-year structure and can support that. I was going to ask if Jared Simpson's on the line. Is there any difference, from a legal standpoint, the two different arrangements?
And are you following, Jared?
The last comment I did not hear.
Sure. So the commissioner is asking a question here, and I'll just put the plan here.
Sure. Hey, Jared. I just was curious if, from your perspective, from a legal standpoint, is there any difference between just forgiving the note all at once and structuring it out to reduce it over 10 years.
No, and I think that's Commissioner McLeod, if I recognize the voice.
Yes.
But it's, I don't think either way we're going to have to execute some kind of new document, whether it's some kind of amended promissory note or just a satisfaction. I think if the board, if it's the will of the board to just forgive it all, we would simply, record satisfaction once that's approved by the commission as the CRA. If we are going to amortize it as the staff is suggesting, then we would need to record some kind of new note, because right now what's recorded in the public record is simply it's I don't know if the board has seen the actual document, but it's a pretty bare bones document that just says that full balance is due on that date.
Are there dock stamps due on this new note that you're going to prepare?
Well, I think that, well, that's a good question. I guess I have to look at that. The dock stamps were already paid on the original note, I would think that we've already satisfied that, but I would have to double check that question.
Any other questions? Thoughts? And I'm sorry, Jared, we're holding now. Is that something that you're looking at now, or is that a follow-up from?
Oh, I'm sorry. I can try. I don't know that I can look it up right at the moment.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
I am 90% certain that dock stamps were paid on this original balance when this note was first recorded. So simply because we're extending the amount of time that they have to pay that balance, I do not think that would require additional dock stamps to be paid for, since we've already paid for them. We're simply delaying. What we're talking about is either just forgiving it or extending the amount of time to pay it. So I don't think it's I'm not 100%, but I guess I can try to look that up if the board wants to continue discussion.
Yeah, and those were my thoughts too, as in proposing it this way, Jared, is that those would not be additional fees, so it would clarify it for me too, because I thought we'd be okay with it, and that we would only have to pay to record the document, right, when we submit it for the extension. So, well, I guess we'll keep it going here though.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you see a possible need for you in the future to use that property to refinance or to borrow against for some other things that you want to do in your ministry?
I mean, it is possible. I mean, we do have a real vision to duplicate ourselves in other lower income areas. We have typically operated, with the exception of this loan, on a, no debt plan. So that would be our kind of last resort, to have to leverage the equity in that property. But it is possible that, so I would say possibly, but not, that's not our big goal. We're trying not to ever have debt other than like this, which was a pretty easy one to have.
So, and maybe just adding to, context to that too. When this was appraised, it was I want to say it was 2012, about 1.27 or $1.2 million, close to 1.3. So if you look at appreciation, we have not appraised it recently because we don't have the same level of interest in it, right, as when we originally owned it. And so this note is carrying no interest, and so we didn't think it beneficial to go out and reappraise the property and pay $1,500 to $1,800 to do that for this discussion. But there's been appreciation on the property since 2012, and so it's probably close to $2 million in value today, or just over that. So there is some additional equity in it outside of this note that we hold over it.
At least my one thought is,
Sure.
10 years from now, likelihood none of us will be here. Is there a way that could be shortened up for that? Just trying to protect Parker Street in the sense of 10 years is a long time. If a new board comes in and says, hey, no, we don't like what we're doing on Parker Street, is there a way that this approval gets protected for Parker Street for the length of that? Because, I mean, like I said, the likelihood that an investor going to be sitting in this room in 10 years is, I mean, I won't be if with the way that this is structured. Is that
Sure.
pretty much signed, sealed, delivered? That can there other be changes made to this down the road? New board member comes in, new staff comes in and says, what do they do with a 10-year?
Or
Appreciation.
along your lines, is a 5-year something that could be
That's what I think. I mean,
considered
cut
as
it
well?
down to 5 years, kind of meet in the middle. I think both sides win, and
I think we should just forgive the debt.
There's,
Elise,
yes,
I have an answer to the question, and
okay.
Florida statutes 201.09, and it's titled the renewal of existing promissory notes and mortgages exemption. And I won't bore everyone by reading the whole paragraph, but it exempts from the documentary tax when you are simply renewing an existing promissory note with the same parties and the same balance. If the board were to increase the balance, then we would have to pay the difference on the increased balance. But since we're simply extending what's essentially the same terms of an existing promissory note, it would be exempt from that tax.
Okay, thank you, sir, for confirming that. At this time, there's some discussion about shortening up the term or forgiving it outright, and so really, it's up to the board to make that recommendation. So if you'd like to shorten it and have a 5-year term, and we can just double up the forgiveness, so instead of 10%, it'd be a 20% over 5 year, per year for the next 5 years, or it could be just an outright forgive it. So we just need a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we forgive the total debt now. I don't know how to verbally, concisely put that. For the note for Parker Street Ministries.
Okay?
Do I need to say anything else? Did I get it good?
No, yes, sir, you got it.
Have a motion, second?
I'll second that.
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. City Attorney, I appreciate it, and then good luck with the baby.
I appreciate that. It's Assistant City Attorney.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, all right.
Take care, everyone.
Thanks, Jared. All right, good deal.
All right. Do we have any further business?
No, sir.
All right. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well done, Brian. Stepping in.
I've sat in enough